the Mindset Athlete Podcast, and I'm your host, James Roberts. I'm a two-time Paralympian and owner of James Robert Fitness, which is an online training, nutrition, and mindset coaching business. First of all, I'd like to thank Lauren Williams for suggesting this quote to the show. An athlete is a mindset. It's how you prepare, think, and execute. Not because of some elite status or physical stature. Anybody can be an athlete. By Chris Hart. And each week on the Mindset Athlete, we like to bring you inspirational athletes, a message, or experts talking about human optimization to teach you how to change your perception of your mindset and become 1% better. And on today's show, I've got Chip Baker. He's a teacher, coach for the last 20 years, fourth generation educator, best-selling author, motivational speaker, networker, life coach, and consultant. But not forgetting, he's also the creator of Chip Baker The Success Chronicles, where he interviews people from all walks of life and shares their stories for inspiration and motivation. So welcome onto the show, Chip.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. So beyond the initial introduction that I've given you there, is there any additional nugget that you'd like to share with my audience?
No, I mean, I think that's pretty good. I'm just an ordinary guy working real hard to achieve some extraordinary things. So,
well, that's very humbling, because obviously, I like what you shared with me the other day in terms of on that video. Can you share that with my audience? That Instagram post.
So, is it which one is it? Because I post a lot. Is it the one with the our differences, the beauty of our differences?
Yes, it's that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in our world, we're surrounded by, lots of different people. All walks of life, all races, all socioeconomic statuses. And, there's beauty in that. There's beauty in our differences because, we can learn from each other, if we have the right mindset and the proper perspective. And so I think it's important to appreciate the differences and know that, the big man made us. We're all a one of one. We're all individuals. And that's beauty, because now it makes our life journey exciting, because now not only, are you striving to learn about, others around you, but really you're working really hard to learn about yourself. And I think that's where the fun becomes.
Do you think it's even more of a thrust to the forefront when it comes to sports, or more specifically team sports? Because obviously people can come from different backgrounds, because they can come from different households.
Oh man, I love, the life lessons that sports teach. When you come in on a team in sports, none of that other stuff matters. It doesn't matter your race. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. What matters is that we're coming together for a common goal. And if you're in the trenches with me, then you're my brother and I got your back, period. And I think that's the beauty of sports. And, from that, you build those quality relationships in your life. I played for 4 years in high school, college football, been a coach for 20 years. I've established and built quality relationships from sports throughout my whole life, and it's benefited me so much.
How do you think, for you more specifically, Chip, has that kind of influenced your life?
Oh man, it's funny. It's funny you asked that, because I was having a conversation with my son a few months back, and we were talking about he was going into age where he was about to start football, and he hadn't played football. We were weighing out the pros and cons, and I'm not a dad. Football was my thing, but I didn't make it have to be his thing. So I let him kind of choose what he liked, but we were talking back and forth, and I was like, man, think about people in my life that have been in my life that you've known your whole life that are important to me. He named this person. I was like, well, that person, we were little league teammates. His dad was my little league coach, and we played in high school together. And he said, what about this person? This was a guy who was my college teammate. When I tore my ACL in college, like this guy took care of me. Like he made sure he took me to the cafeteria so I could eat. We're still close brothers now. And so in giving you those examples, really what I'm saying is the first thing is you develop so many quality relationships, and they become family, friends that are family, and so just in my life, man, all of them, besides my faith, besides my, legit family, pretty much most of the big things in my life have come from being involved in sport.
And obviously you mentioned tearing your ACL there, Chip. How much of, obviously mental health is a massive thing within society and probably more so within sports. How much of an influence was it having that teammate that you speak about right there, having your back when you're going through such a hard struggle, both physically and mentally?
Oh man, like to this day, like I feel that I'm so in debt to that guy, because, and when you have injuries, it hurts more in your heart than it does on the actual injury. It hurts more in your heart and on your mind than the actual injury. And so, you feel like you're at your lowest point, and there's a lot of mental things that come along with that. But when you have somebody that's there for you, where it doesn't matter if you're at your lowest point, hey man, I got you. Like how can I help you? Like what can I do to help you? And so, what I've tried to do is return that favor. That same guy has had 3 sons. He has 3 sons. 2 of them are in coaching, and one will probably be in coach. He's a college football player right now. But in turn, like I've tried to be mentors for his kids because I'm in coaching. He's not in coaching. So, they actually call me uncle. One of them, there's half his family, they call me T.O., and so, I mean, it's just, again, having someone there to pick you up when you feel that you're at your lowest point, when you have nothing to look out for you. It's an amazing feeling because that just shows me, hey, it doesn't matter what you have. It doesn't matter whatever. Like, you my guy. I got you.
But do you think nowadays, on the outside of sport, that's becoming less and less? And obviously that's a little bit of a generalization, but a little bit, people are getting more and more cutthroat and taking essence of obviously what sport is built upon, that obviously the competitiveness, but obviously we don't forget from a camaraderie standpoint, we're there for each other when times get tough. Do you think society and life has kind of gone 180 with it and taken sport from what we call probably qualities, and they've made it probably into a negative? Or is that me looking at probably negativity and looking at things in a negative light?
Well, I'm gonna just tell you that my blood type is B positive, so I'm not gonna look at anything in a negative light. So I think for me, all I know is the sports world, and the people that are close to me, that are super important to me, are my family and the people that have probably been involved in the sports world too. And so, for me, I think, I don't know. I don't know if it's changed. I don't think it has. I think there's more awareness with knowledge and all of those other things. Like now, like people will focus more on the mental health and the steps to progress and all those things. Whereas, back then it was like, get tough, like just get it done. Like I don't care about your whatever, like just get it done. Whereas now it's more of a be considerate of others and those kind of things. But as far as the shift from the sports, I don't think so. I've interviewed several people on my podcast, and I've had some people talk about, like, they're like big time businessmen or big time. They say, I strive to only hire, people that have been athletes, people that have been waiters or waitresses, people that have possibly been in the health profession. Those people, they know the value of teamwork. they appreciate others, they give service to other people, and they help others. So when you have those traits with people that you work with, that you're around, things will continue to grow and progress because they know the value of being on the other side of that. Just like I explained to you, I had nothing.
And do you think, obviously, the athletes can go beyond, obviously, teamwork, but do you think because we have those values in, I won't go as far as the DNA, but it's pretty well close to it, because most people have done sport from a very, very young age.
Yeah.
Obviously, when they come out the other side, they don't know anything. They don't know anything else.
That's all they know. Yeah.
So people do. So you do have people say to you, you need to stop living in the past. But obviously, what's your take on that argument? Because obviously, for me more specifically, I used it as a vehicle to probably make myself aware of things when I wasn't particularly doing things in the right way when I'd come out of the sporting sense. And it kind of instilled a way of being able to reconnect with some of the things that I probably took for granted in sport.
Yeah, I restate that question for me, please.
In terms of, and it's been brought up on a TV show as well, and I can't remember which one it is. But the difference between living in the past and being stuck in it and only taking the good of it, and then on the other side of that.
Yeah, I think for me, I think we don't need to completely harp on the past, because if we continue to stay on the past, it doesn't allow us the opportunity to grow. So I think, just like in anything, I think we need to be aware of that, but really, and this is a good example. So for a long time, my son wasn't really interested in football, right? So then now that he's playing, and I never really said, well, yeah, son, I've done this, and I never have said those things, to my son. I accomplished, I never, that's not me. But now once he's interested in playing football, now he found out that what you played on varsity as a freshman, you still have your college jersey, what are other, y'all got to go do this, and so some of those things are coming up, and now he's aware of that now, but really to me, what's important is that he knows that, from those experiences, it's allowed me to be the best father that I can be, and now I can, guide you in the right path to where you need to be, I was blessed to achieve some of those things, but I've taken from those lessons, and now it's a matter of growing, and progressing. And so I think we do need to be aware of the past, because our past things are what gives us pride and what really makes us who we are, because we go through those things. So no, definitely don't forget about that. But we also need to just be aware and then strive to continue to grow.
Do you think on the other side of that argument then, Chip, then that it's the media that hypes it up, the comparison between the son and we'll say the parent and the child, because obviously not comparing sex against sex, but do you think it's the media that kind of looks for that comparison? Well, the parent was able to achieve this accolade wise. Will the child be able to repeat those feats? And obviously, I'm talking probably more specifically where it happens, probably the NFL.
Yeah,
they use that argument.
And that's what I was going to say. In my case, probably not. Maybe in your case, yes, no. But I think one is genetics, first of all. But yes, I mean, it plays a part. I'm a balanced person, and I'm positive, but I'm not stupid either. So I know that there's good and there's bad. So I really strive to work for the balance. I know that there's people that overly blow things up, but then I know there's people that's don't hype it up enough, but in the middle of that, it's, hey, have your core common values, things that you believe in, work hard, do right, treat people right, give your all. And on the other side of that is, greatness, fulfillment, happiness. And so regardless of what these people think, regardless of what those people think, if you continue to focus in and do those things, then you'll get where you want to get.
Do you think that's why people lose motivation? They lose sight of the three you mentioned, being the greatest person you can be, the fulfillment it obviously gives you, and ultimately, do you strive to? And this is generally when you need to probably hang up any object of the sport is, do you still enjoy it? And obviously that's the happiness. Do you think people lose sight of that and they look to motivation as a scapegoat to kind of say, oh, I've lost motivation to lose weight, to venture out and do a new sport or sort of try something new? Do you think they kind of pin all of it on that and then lose sight of everything that we've mentioned?
No, I think we change. I mean, like at different ages, at different levels of our life, like there's different things that's important to us, more important to us than others, and our priorities change. And so the goal is to, find, be able to have noise cancellation so that you can really focus in and understand yourself and what makes you tick and what drives you. And then when you can do that, it allows you to continue to be motivated. But within that, just like each grade, you're going to level up. Things are different. If I've won a gold medal, well, bro, I'm trying to get two. You know what I'm saying? I can't do the same things I did then if I'm expecting it to grow. And so, and at different stages of our life, certain things are more important. When you don't have kids, you don't have a family, well, yeah, it's just you. Well, when you have all those other things, well, it's us. And so the decisions that I make are not based on me, it's based on us now, And so all of those things come into play. And man, it's so freeing, if you will, to be in a position in your life to where you control what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? Like you set yourself up to be highly educated. You set yourself up to have quality relationships. You set yourself up to put yourself in position to where you have cards to play. You have a master's degree. You're certified in this. You've done this. You've done this. You've done this. Well, when you decide to go make your next step, you're going to be motivated because you're choosing what you want to do, as opposed to I guess I got to take that, or I'm not cool. Well, I have to do this. Well, no, you get to choose. I think when you get to control your destiny, when you feel that you're in control of your destiny, I don't think I think you stay motivated because you feel that you're having growth continuously.
And you talk about noise canceling. What do you do? And obviously it's an evolutionary process now because it's going to become more difficult because you've got loads of things to detract from your attention. But what do you do specifically to keep yourself ticking over and having that awareness? Because obviously it's evolved over time as you as a person.
Yeah, just like I explained, I just really work hard on looking in to win, looking within to win, and striving to be the best version of myself. Just really working on having the right priorities, starting with my faith first, and I feel that if I'm in alignment with that, if I'm, like I said, trying to do things the right way with it from a good heart perspective, treating people right, working hard, and striving to continue to be better each day, the best version, one step at a time. I think that's one thing that I do that allows me to eliminate the distractions, because organically that'll happen when you get focused in. Organically, you don't even hear any of that other stuff. Like you don't even know what other people are doing because organically you're focused in, laser focused in on what you're doing, and it takes care of itself. So you don't have to work hard at saying, well, I don't want to. No, it just happens. And so surrounding myself with the right people that are goal driven as well, that will invest in me. I think this is, my mother used to say this, boy, if you're going to do something, do it right. Growing up, She put the boy in there too, right? Boy, if you're going to do something, do it right, you know? And so I just kind of stick with that still to this day, as a man. And so, if I'm doing something, I just strive to do it right. And I know that if I want to do things the right way, I can't be involved in all that other stuff that takes away from my focus.
And I think that's probably and it's probably, people would say that it's probably an old style message, old school message, but it obviously still serves a purpose because, mine is probably more recent, but it's the same with my mother. As long as you put 100% into it, I will support you. And that's stuck with me. It's like, well, I was, and this is the same story with you. You didn't force your son to do sport. I know other family members will say to me, and this is only recently that it's been brought up, where they kind of said, my mother was trying to live her life because she didn't succeed in sport. For me, it's like, I would disagree. There was no coercion, no pushiness in terms of, well, James, you need to go in this direction because I think you should do that. Okay, it was probably, this is the best choice for you with having a disability to succeed in an able-bodied sporting world. That's the right choice. But obviously, ultimately, that choice rests with me. Do I continue on that route? So I would argue with that family member to say, no, I've seen what pushy parents look like. Even as a child, I know what it looks like.
Yeah.
You can tell those they stick out a mile away, and it doesn't matter what sport it is. If you are aware of it, you can see. Well, ultimately, is that child going to be happy in the long run? Probably not, right, because they're trying to appease that person. So I would say to people, I know somebody reached out to me on Instagram about it. Oh, I want to give my daughter the best opportunity to see what's capable. Is it you, or is she dictating in terms of? And it was related to sport that he was showcasing. Well, what happens if she doesn't want to do that? Have you thought about that? And that, obviously, I'm not telling him right, his choices for the wrong one. I'm making him aware. Is it the right choice for your daughter to go down the sporting route? How you ask that? Okay, for me, I wanted to do sport, and I think family did say, "Would you do it over again?" Yeah, I would probably make different choices within that tenure, but that's me reflecting on the career I had now as a 30-year-old to obviously something that's been through my teens and 20s. Yeah, for sure I would do it again because it was, there's so many learning experiences within it. I would be a totally different person now if I hadn't chosen to do, and I obviously, or I would be a different person to start with because I always wanted to set out because I know family wants the best for you because obviously they look at needs versus must, what you talked about, be it from a job perspective. Yes, that was a dream of yours to want to do sport, but shouldn't you got a career first? And obviously I'm always going to probably go against it, but I'll listen to them. But I think it comes to your point exactly in terms of you weren't steering your son down the football route. He made his own choice to go down there, and he's going to come to you for possibly advice because you coach and you've been there and to a certain extent seen it all.
Yeah, and it's a fine line, I think, too. But each person has to go down their own journey. And I know, as a parent, you want to, lay it down for them so they can, and just tell them every step. But really, and this is an athlete, like you have to make your own mistakes so that you can learn. But what he needs from me is just to say, hey, when he makes that mistake, hey, you got it, man. Keep working. Not for me to say, hey, what are you doing? He doesn't need that from me. He needs me as his father. He has a coach. As his father, he needs me to be the support, and he needs to know that, man, it don't matter to me what you do. I love you. Like just go have fun, man.
Well, you've got. I think from a sporting sense, you've got not instant replay, but be at a higher level, high school maybe. You've got the analysis to look back at it on game film after the fact to kind of say, and you'll probably be pulled for it, but. And I think as athletes,
And we do that.
you
Yeah, we
don't make
do
a big deal about it, but I think from an outside perspective, people don't look at it. Okay, that's awareness. You've done this wrong. What are you going to do about it? Because obviously, if you keep doing it over and over again, you're going to get pulled and you won't play because
and that is
ultimately the
not
team's not
good.
going to win.
Yeah, that's it. If you don't do your job, you get fired. And he had an instance like that too, where he wasn't producing, and they put somebody else in a position, and then he started asking me more questions. Because what's funny is the position he plays is what I coached, right? So it's a struggle for me to not say too much. Like, bro, you got to step with this foot, get your hand right here, make sure your head is here. Focusing on the techniques like I coach, but just saying, hey, just give him one tip. Hey, get your butt lower. Get your leverage down. That'll help you, be stronger. Just little things like that. And now when he's like, man, it did work. Well, I've been doing it a little bit, bro. So it's good. It's fun. It's a learning lesson for both.
Does it take a lot for you to be able to take that step back to kind of not give too much information then?
It's work, yes, because just like you said, I've seen the overdoing it parent, and then I've also seen the not so involved parent as well. But for me, I only get one shot at this, and I'm gonna do the best I can in my shot, And so, in order to do that, I have to be reflective and be aware of my steps and the way I'm doing my thing to make sure that I'm on point so that he benefits, and not be like, because I want it to still be his thing. Like you said, that's how you continue to grow and have continue to grow and be excited about it, and have the drive and the motivation for it. Like if you're exploring it and you're not made to explore it, that's when your self journey. That's how you have your self journey.
Well, I think it does come down to the key points of it is fulfillment and happiness, because I think if you lose sight of one or the other, I think you start to obviously see it as a job, which was my case towards the end of the career. It's like, well, why am I really doing it? Obviously, my podcast is a massive help. It would have been nice to have had it as an athlete. You ask these wonderful people like yourself, well, if I come to this situation of A, B, C, what do I do? And obviously you start to be a little bit more aware and question the things that you're doing and obviously change it. But I think for me, more specifically, I lost the enjoyment to do it. It became I won't say a chore, but it was a job. I was paid to do it. And then really I lost the purpose of why am I really doing it? Because I want to, I'm ticking these boxes and that's about it. I've lost sight of probably the real essence of the very beginning of why I wanted to get on the ladder in the first place. And obviously that takes a bigger person to be able to see that. But I'd be ticking off and climbing that ladder, ticking it off as I go on. And now I'm almost at the top. And this is probably where everybody loses sight of things. They lose actually, well, how did you get there in the first place? If you'd have written it down or be it had it in auditory form, you could go back and or a case in point, watch it over again. Well, how did I get from A to for argument's sake, C? This is the steps I took and the process I did. Whereas I think even athletes, I think they do gloss over it a little bit, or I know I did. It doesn't matter if it was good or bad, I did it because ultimately I want to get to the result. And I think this is probably where most people in society is. I don't care about the process, I just want the result. how do you ultimately replicate it if you only want the result, but you don't want to know the ins and outs? I understand you don't want the ins and outs of the process, but you're not writing down or acknowledging this is how you've done it. So when you do step away from a coach, no wonder most people fail, because they've not looked at, well, how did I get there in the first place?
Yeah, they weren't aware during the moment, and that A word is huge. Your awareness, when you can be aware of the things, and then I think even deeper than that, awareness comes from having gratitude. And if we can be thankful for the opportunities that we have, I think it allows you to be aware of the situations that you're in, which allows you to be reflective, on the steps that you've taken to get there. So when you're out of it and you've grown, like you said, the top of that ladder, you're able to kind of peek down a little bit and say, and that was cool. This is what I did to get there. And as you continue your climb on the ladder, you're like, hey man, you down there at A, make sure you do that. Hey, you down there at B, make sure you do this, as you're continuing to climb.
I think the reflective is a massive one. I think it's commonplace now. You talk about sports psychology. It was
Yeah.
You only talk about, so maybe say 10, 15 years ago, it's like, woo, what's this? It's like black magic. Whereas now it's part and parcel of sports. So people look at the reflective practice. I didn't know about that until I went to university, and we're talking about
yes
10 years ago. And when it comes up and rears its head again, well, I know what that is. I've not seen it for a long time, but it's been able to step back and you talk about gratitude there. Even if it's a small win, it's being grateful. Well, okay, you've not accomplished the to-do list for today, but you've accomplished something massive, and it's being grateful for being able to do that. And I think it's a small win, but obviously looking on the bigger picture, you're still taking inroads into the larger picture. And I think if you do get too laser focused at times on the smaller things, you do lose sight of the bigger picture. And I think even giving yourself a pat on the back for accomplishing even the minute or the superficial, or not superficial, the smallest things that you take for granted, it's still an achievement.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, the fact that we're alive is enough to just say, hey, I'm thankful to see another day. And then from there comes, okay, well, because I'm thankful to see another day, well, what am I going to do with this day? And then once you figure out, okay, what am I going to do with this day? Then you get to it, you put the work in, and then you end the day with, man, I'm thankful to make it through another day, and you're checking off your checklist. What did I get accomplished today? So the next day, if you're able to make it to the next day, you hit the ground running. Then the next day, man, I'm thankful to see another day. What am I going to do with this day? So you just continue to grow.
Well, it's looking at the bigger picture, and it's something my dad is, I think when I was looking to use self-development, overcomplicate things, he just said the exact words. That's the massive thing that you need to be grateful for, is waking up one day and be finishing the day to be able to go to sleep at night. It's as simple as that. And I think obviously you could go a step further than that. And I explained to somebody, just saying hello to somebody and acknowledging them is a massive one, because we're getting more and more and further from that in certain parts of the world where we're not even speaking to each other. So when things come up from a health perspective, when they say, and this was on the news in the UK, that there's 7-year-olds coming to doctors with anxiety. Yeah, but it's not a difficult fix to fix these things. It's communicating more. It's having more of a community. It's not rocket science. to fix them and go back a couple generations. It's just the willingness for people to want to do it is a different. It's stepping out of your comfort zone. I know more and more kids will use, well, probably their only form of communication will be text message. They've lost the art of communication from a perspective of talking. No wonder you're scared when it comes to what they will term as public speaking, but it's only like a school project. That is not difficult in the grand scheme. You have to do that to pass for a grade. Maybe the sports person wouldn't have a big deal because they might have that swagger around them where it could be a front that they put that, whereas they're not as comfortable within their own skin, but they're able to.
They're able to dig deep and do it because they've done that when they compete as an athlete. So I mean, I'm able to dig deep because I know what I need to get done.
Well, it's enjoying it, and I think somebody was saying to me, it's the highest fear people have, and it's above dying. I would have thought you should be more scared of dying than stepping on stage to, I don't know, fair argument's sake, say 10 people. That's not scary. It should excite you. I think from the athlete perspective, that's probably not enough of a showcase. It's 10 people. Nah, that's not enough of a spectacle. I want more people.
That's funny. more eyes on me, huh?
Well, you're in that kind of generation of, YouTube, social media, instant highlights. They probably would love it in terms of more people see me. Obviously, you can go different ways in terms of, is it a facade people are putting on to be able to be accepting of themselves and be accepted by other people? Because that's a different topic altogether. But I think at the root cause of it, they're more likely to see it as something to be excited about than fearful of. It's like, well, I have to do it to get a grade, be it whatever level, be it high school, collegiate. I have to do it anyway. Might as well enjoy it.
Yeah, I love that. So true.
So my penultimate question to you, Chip, then is, if you had to sit down with any, and I'll pose it from the coaching perspective as well, any player or coach, and you can have two answers for this, dead or alive, who would those be?
If I could have,
and why?
If I could have two to speak to, who would it be? If I could have two coaches? Oh man. First, for sure, I'd go with Tony Dungy. Great man, great faith background, quiet strength, don't have to say much to get lots done. Then I kind of try to mimic myself after that as well. And then I think the next one would probably be Coach John Wooden, because just of the greatness and the consistency of years of championships, I read lots of his books, and really it goes back to the attention to detail and making sure that you're consistent with your detail. And when you do the little things right all the time, the big things take care of themselves.
And what about from a player perspective now?
If which players I would want to have? Oh man, Ray Lewis for sure, because he's the man, ultimate leader, ultimate give everything guy. And then my second guy would be a Texas guy, Mike Singletary. Big time. I play linebacker as well, so he's just a leader. People would say, you're too short, you're not fast enough, you might not be big enough, but that guy just stepped in there and got it done in college, stepped in there and got it done in the pros. And so, that's what it's all about, is just getting it done. Don't worry about what it couldn't be, what it possibly shouldn't be, but you just go in there and you just get it done.
And my final question to you, Chip, before we wrap up the episode is, if you had to summarize what we've been speaking about into one sentence for people to take away, what would that be?
Oh, that's a good question. If I had to summarize what we discussed in one sentence, I think it would be the formula to have continuous growth and significant success in your life.
So once again, Chip, thanks again for coming on the Mindset Athlete podcast.
Hey, my pleasure, man. Thanks so much. I consider it an honor and a privilege.
Oh, the pleasure has been all mine. If you like this episode, please do share it with your friends, and do let Chip and I know what you thought of the episode by tagging us over on Instagram at Chip Baker TSC and at James O Roberts 11, and that is the number 11. And again, you can do the same on Twitter and Facebook. And in addition, if you had any questions, don't hesitate to fire them across as well. And finally, don't forget to check out Chip's YouTube channel, Chip Baker The Success Chronicles. And as always, do check out my free content at fitamputee.co.uk and click on the tab Resources. But not forgetting, I've also started a new Facebook group, especially for the podcast, which you can find by typing The Mindset Athlete. So make sure to check those links out. They will be in the description. You can find all the show notes at mindsetgame.lipsim.com under the category General. So once again, thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next week for another episode of the Mindset Athlete podcast.